Hi guys, welcome back to another Bourbon Santa video. Today we're gonna get a little fancy. We're gonna get a little scotchy. We're gonna have some Nick Offerman special Lagavulin 11 year that's been finished. This is the new release, finished in Guinness casks. So, as most of you know, Irish whiskey and Irish beer have a long history with me, and I love them both. And Islay peated Scotch was something that I got into pretty late into my Scotch whiskey experience. At first, peated whiskey was not on the palate for me. It was not a thing. It was, it was rough. The first one I ever had was Balvenie Peat Week, and it messed me up for weeks. And through multiple tastings and giving it time, I actually fell in love with heavily peated Irish whiskeys. And an interesting thing that a lot of bourbon drinkers might not know is the longer a Scotch sits in a barrel, the less peaty it becomes. So if Lefroy 10 year is too peaty for you, you should try an older one, the 18 year or whatever, and it'll be more delicate, a little more nuanced and less extreme. Your Octomores are very young. The new Ardbeg Wee Beastie is very young, and the whole point of that is to have maximum peat. So Lagavulin 16 year is the peaty Scotch, the peaty Islay Scotch that I always recommend people start with, because after 16 years that peat smoke is tamped down, it's smoothed out, all the rough edges are gone, and it's beautiful and delicious and sweet. So I always recommend people start with the 16-year Lagavulin, and it's a great introduction to peated Scotch. The Balvenie Peat Week is 14 years old. It's a little more extreme than the Lagavulin 16. Now, this one is 11 years, so this is going to be highly peated, so not for everyone. This one has been finished in Guinness casks. The last one was finished in New American Oak. I've got to get my hands on the old one to have a direct comparison with this one, but let's dive right into this and see what we've got. Now, there's a little blurb on the front here from Nick Offerman that I actually really like. It says, "I have traveled the world and sampled many attempts at pleasing nectars, but it is solely this distribution of Islay, a tiny, charismatic Scottish island, that has claimed my palate, yea, and my heart into the bargain." I like that. I like how he said that. That's very nice. And I've got to agree with him. Islay Scotch has such a wide variety of flavors available, from heavily peated Octomores and Port Charlottes and Lagavulins and Lefroys to Brooklodic Black Arts that are lightly peated, that are just out of this world delicious, to Bunnahabhain 12 year, 18 year, and older, that's just mesmerizingly good. So let's dive into this and see what Nick Offerman has put together in conjunction with Lagavulin. Distinctly Lagavulin profile. Distinct. There's a hint of a rich beeriness. This obviously has to be coming from the Guinness stout barrels. It's a little darker, a little richer than regular Lagavulin. A little more grainy. The smoke is beautiful, but very sharp, very in your face. There's a lot of smoke there. There's a little bit of orchard fruit behind the smoke. A little bit of almost a waxy nuttiness. Either walnut or maybe cashew. I don't know. Gorgeous. Let's taste it. It's got a little bit of beer bitter, a little bit of that hoppiness, a little bit of that bitterness from the stout beer. Oh, but you know what, though? I gotta say I like it. It's very robust. It's a sounds dumb, but it's a very manly whiskey. It's very stout. It's definitely sharper and more aggressive than the Lagavulin 16-year. Lagavulin 16-year to me is very calm, very pretty, very relaxed. It's something you could just sit and drink, you know, like Nick Offerman next to a fireplace, and just sip it for hours. This is a little rougher, a little stronger, a little, we're about to invade Normandy tomorrow kind of scotch. And I think that's just that youth. And it's funny too to talk about, because for a bourbon drinker, 11 years is old. 11 years is old. But in the Scotch world, because of the climate differences, 11 years is very young. 11-year-old Scotch is nothing. I've got 32-year-old Scotch. I've got 28-year-old Scotch. I've got 20-year-old Scotch. And that is more normal range. For us bourbon drinkers, 11-year-old bourbon is extra aged. I mean, that stuff's ancient. That stuff's super sought after. But in the Scotch world, because of the climate differences and the slower maturation process, 11 years is young for this. I would actually love to see what this tastes like in a few more years. Once that bitter is a little weaned off at the top, and you're left with just the nice hoppy notes and the notes of that stout with the Lagavulin. I think it's a solid release for what it is. It's a special release. It's an interesting finish. Is it my favorite Lagavulin? No, I still prefer the 16-year regular Lagavulin or the distillery release, which is finished in sherry. I prefer those two over this. Is this good? Yes. Am I happy to have it in my collection? Absolutely. Will I get a second one? Probably. To park it on the shelf for future drinking. Absolutely. So, there's to that. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching. Until next time, have a great day.